on the second point, but quad sniper is really, really hard. What will replace Doombra dive? Normal dive. Normal dive. Yo, by the way, Bro Olympic. Nice to see you, man. Yeah, it's like Yoruba, it says Ilios Ruins is basically who has the better widow. Disruption dive? That's what, well, Tracer is a disruption hero, and so is Winston. No worries, by the way, Yuma. Wrecking Ball, Diva, Sombra Doom, and a Lucio. How come you need the Lucio? A counter to Treehouse comp. Okay, I'll show you the counter to Treehouse comp. It's very easy, because Treehouse comp is played wrong in my opinion. I'll show first what Treehouse is. Here's Treehouse. It's gonna look like this. Let's see, then you have Widow. This is, by the way, the comp we invented with Fuel in OWL. And where's Zen? Here he is. Then you have Diva. Okay. This is Treehouse, how it starts out. Now, the reason why this is bad, you just run tanks. I'll show exactly. You don't have to run goats, you just have to run Ryan Zarya. Treehouse used to be countered really hard by dive on Anubis. No, it's not countered by dive. Well, it is, but it's not the heroes that counter it, it's the positioning. Jane hating it because there are no rotations. That's the thing, like you don't have to rotate with Orisa. You don't really do any massive rotations. But you know, you can't know that unless you're within the team when you talk about like how you make these things. Okay, so this is how Treehouse starts. And I'll show you guys what the more proper, well, normally also, Diva goes to point contests while everyone else is high ground. That's basically Treehouse. The reason for Diva going to point is because if there's someone contesting, one person, usually like a flanker, Sombra, Tracer, Genji, whatever, Diva can handle that alone. But when you start sending Ryan, Zarya, oops, let's use Red instead. Let's say that you have Ryan, Zarya, Diva. Let's mix it up. We don't need a Diva. Let's do Hog. You don't even need Zarya. Let's do Ryan, Diva, Hog. Then you need a Lucio, that's for sure. Let's see, where's Lucio? Here he is. I'm gonna show you exactly why you don't need to counter the Diva, Widow, I mean. If you want to counter the Widow, you should be running your own Widow. That's it. But you have a Moira. And then let's see what else. You need a third hero. Well, you can play quad tank. Why not? Okay, so what's the plan here? Well, the plan with this Widow, she can't really stand over here. She's gonna get picked. You know, if there's an enemy Widow, for example. Yo, Dragonus. Any VODs today? Yeah, after this, in 1 hour. Junkrat is gonna spam here. The thing is, if Orisa shield is over here, anyone that stands out here, for example, they're gonna get focused. But that's not the thing, you don't want to focus them. How can you push this? Well, you can run under them. You just use Lucio speed and run under them. Get in. And hug the wall. You can also go space. Like this. Out here. With Lucio speed. Just out. Wait for speed. Reset. Push. Rhine is a hard counter to Orisa. That's a fact. That's a 100% fact. And Treehouse wants to hold up here. They want to set up Junkrat or Orisa shield for Junkrat. But for example, if you have Junkrat like this, let's say that everyone is alive. Widow stands here, she's free shooting. You have Zen here. You have Widow. Oh, I mean Mercy, and then you have, let's say, Diva. And you shoot a shield like this. Let's say that the tanks are on point for some reason. Everyone is on point. Thank you so much, Espens.
Hashtag charity.
Thank you so much. Okay. How can you avoid Junkrat spam? Well, you hug the walls. You just hug the walls, and Junkrat can't really do much. How many can spam the shield, Orisa shield? That's 900 HP. Hog can. Zarya can. Diva can. What does Diva die to? Well, Hog hook. Zarya damage. How many targets can Widow one-shot? Well, she can one-shot 2 targets. Lucio and Moira. What if Moira and Lucio are over here then?
Now I'm...
It didn't say anything. Now I'm out of bits. Thank you so much, Sephiro. So yeah, I don't see how Treehouse beats a tank comp that just sits on point, because you can out-heal this. You can, like, there's nothing that Junkrat does efficiently here. Like, Junkrat is used because of, well, we started using Junkrat because of how easy it is to just spam into a choke. Also because Junkrat is OP with, was OP with double mines and Riptire. For example, how do you build Riptire here? You're not gonna build Riptire. Not that quickly. Well, you can build it quickly, but the thing is, Diva can't hold this alone. No way. Orisa must drop down. So if she drops down from the middle, how easy is it to defend the Orisa? Zen can't really Zen can't really heal her because there's a Diva here. There's a Hog with hook. Can Mercy heal her? No. How many shots? Like, it's gonna take ages for the Widow to do anything versus tanks. Like, even if you have insane aim, you have to factor in that Hog can have insane hooks. Diva can boop. Yeah, etc. What if you replace with Pharah instead of Junk? Well, then you go back to spawn. Well, you don't have to go back to spawn, but instead of Pharah, like, you have to if you start out with Pharah and you see Pharah when you're running out of spawn here, then you say, oh, they have a Pharah. Okay, let's go back. You switch something. Let's say you switch Zarya. And you play now your own Widow. That's it. Pharah doesn't do much either. Also, Pharah needs the pocket, which would deny the damage for Widow here. Just run new McCree. Yeah, new McCree is much stronger than Pharah and Junkrat, for example. But yeah, Treehouse, in my opinion, I don't see how it's even strong because you don't need a shield here for Junkrat. Zen usually wants to play back here with Widow and Mercy. Junkrat can take care of himself as well. Like, you have a mine that you can escape with, so that's why you don't need a shield. And you also don't need to have direct line of sight to the target, which means that if you're playing a Junkrat here, forget having a shield. Like, you can bounce on the walls. Like, you have bouncing balls. Like, use that mechanic to your advantage as Junkrat, so you don't have to waste a big shield. Waste a big shield with Orisa, because Orisa wants to contest point. It's like King's Row. If you go to King's Row, let's see. Save. Here, for an example, we made it pretty clear that if, well, not pretty clear, but everyone knows that if D.Va goes down here, when any type of comp comes to point, Orisa can't do much, Junkrat can't really do much, Widow can, but she has to shoot the squishes. D.Va will die, so she has to escape, and Orisa is the one that has to contest. That's like how Korea plays it. That's how NYXL played it, Spitfire, every team basically. And the reason for having Orisa go down is because just Fortify, the rest of the team doesn't need shield, and that's the case with Horizon as well. And that's what's mind-boggling to me, because you don't need a shield. And I'll show you guys how to play the Orisa comp here. So you start off with Orisa here. This is because you can do early spam, you can see what's happening. Well, you don't have to start up here. That's if you have a hook, for example, because of hook and a limited range. If you start over here, that's fine. You can have your own D.Va. She sits here, have Junkrat. He places a mine, for example. The mine can be anywhere, but let's say that you place the mine here. Here even. Let's say mine goes here. Treehouse method is normally with these heroes, yeah. But Treehouse is... I think Treehouse got popular because OWL was over. And then it was just played on stream at a lower level. No one could really figure out how to punish it. Well, people did, but because it wasn't played at the highest level, it got popular, and then it's assumed that it's a strong strat for some reason. But it isn't. Because it's played wrong, in my opinion. Widow sits here, you have Mercy with you, you have Zen with the team here. So these two heroes are mobile heroes. For example, if the enemies play a Tracer that flanks, let's say that she goes to triple blink somehow to point. Does that mean that the whole comp starts looking for the Tracer? It doesn't. It means that the D.Va goes for the Tracer, because D.Va can win a duel versus Tracer. Junkrat can't win a duel versus Tracer if they're on equal skill. Assume that they are both OWL skill. Tracer would win that in a heartbeat. Same with Widow. It's kind of hard to win a duel on point with Widow versus Tracer, because Tracer can hug the wall. She can just hide. And Tracer is forced away by D.Va. That's why D.Va would go down in Treehouse. But the thing is, people stop playing Tracer and then You don't know what to do else as D.Va, so you just default to point. Now, if you play tanks here, let's say that you play the OP comp against Orisa. Let's say that the quickest route is to go left, because it is the quickest route. You hold shield, you speed together. Everyone moves. Let's say that they clear the mine, so the mine is gone. Everyone moves. No one takes damage, by the way. Well, some take damage, but Moira has Fade, Lucia's Amp. There's speed, there's bubbles, there's shield, there's matrix, there's everything. And the Tracer's gone, of course, as well, because there's a Hog. Hog can hook anyone that tries to be close. Now as Widow, you're gonna rotate here, of course. Mercy follows. As Orisa, you're gonna be standing on the opposite side of where the enemies are. That's how you play this. You have Zen far back. Zen can stay. Zen can stay on the high ground as well, because no one can really contest high ground in this comp, and they don't want to either. Just because there's a Junkrat on top of high ground spamming doesn't mean that you have to go for him. For example, if your Orisa dies, but you still have a Junkrat here, the Junkrat is going to be useless because the damage he does is not kill damage. It doesn't kill anyone. Well, it kills Moira and Lucia, but he doesn't do 400 HP pulse bomb damage, for example. I'm not sure if it's 400 anymore, but yeah, you get the point. D.Va, she goes with Orisa. Widow, she can play alone now, because no one's gonna do damage to Widow, so she can play anywhere, basically. She can hook. She can stand on low ground, for example. That's how free Widow is, but because there's tanks, this method wouldn't work in high elo. Kim Gotti, I'll show you something. Oh, okay, I didn't know. I thought you meant that the hold wouldn't work. But yeah, this is free Widow, Junkrat and Zen, they play high ground, and this is the most optimal hold versus tanks that come in from point. Because if you only have D.Va, she's gonna get wrecked. Orisa, you don't need a shield, because you have Fortify, you have a Fortify for a reason. If you end up not taking damage or avoiding damage, you're making a mistake because you're not using the full kit. Well, you're not supposed to soak damage, of course, but you get what I mean. You should be able to negate damage with Fortify. Having Mercy on low ground here means that she can go up to Junkrat, she can fall down to Orisa, she can easily pocket people. Zen wants to be on the corner, so that if someone goes for the Zen, let's say D.Va, let's say that someone gets hooked, for example. Oh, treehouse. Yeah, that's what I mean, Kim Gotti. That's what I mean as well. Yeah. So Zen, he can drop down. He's super safe back here, because no one can reach him. And as Orisa, you just have a 1 foot on point, just like on King's Row. Doesn't matter if your shield dies. And the upside here is that if you place the shield on point, like this, that's a bad shield, like this, and you just hold alone on point, if the shield breaks, that's totally fine. No one is dependent on the shield, because you can step off, D.Va can matrix and hold point a bit, or she can also step off. You will have reset cooldown, you go back, Junkrat rotates, and this is also the concept of using Orisa on Anubis, and the same with King's Row. That's, for example, why I guess Jane didn't like it, because you don't really need to make any big rotations. how does it? You play very efficiently without doing like, you don't have to do crazy stuff with Orisa. Like I see some. What would be optimal versus goats on attack? I'd say this is pretty much optimal. I'm not sure versus goats though. You wouldn't play Widow. But yeah, I'm gonna finish up this one. So as tanks here, you wait for speed while you move in. You move in, hold shield. Shield is gonna break super quick, by the way. Or you can chill here. You can chill, wait for shield to regen, wait for speed. When you have speed, you just move out, go to point. You hug the walls, of course. Well, Ryan plays over here. Junkrat is gonna spam, that's for sure. But there's a hog that can hook. Moira, she holds here. Lucia over here. And this is pretty much how you beat the Orisa comp. Now, it's not how you beat it 100% because the Widow can headshot. If there's a Widow that pops off, for example, Lucia, Moira will die. Zara can die. People can die, of course. But the hog can auto-heal. Ryan doesn't really die that easily because he has a ton of HP plus armor. You're not gonna shield much because you want to pressure the Orisa. If you destroy the shield before she has a reset, someone has to contest, and you basically brute force it instead of playing it. You don't really play shield poke comp or anything. It's more like you brute force the Orisa away before she gets a reset on her shield. And if you get one tick and then die, it's fine. You go for it again and you get another tick. And yeah. I don't know why people don't go down here with Orisa. Well, it is, I do know actually. I guess it's because the Orisa players aren't comfortable on Orisa. And maybe the shield is overvalued. So who would win in this matchup? The Rhine team wins. Or they are favored. They are favored. Probably 70 to 30 or 80 to 20. But Orisa comp is very good. Not 80 to 20. It's more like 65 to 35 or 70 to 30. But the thing with Orisa comp is that you have 80 to 20 versus dive, for example. Any form of dive. Because of Junkrat Trap, Orb, Matrix, Discord, and Mercy Ult. Not Mercy Ult, but you have Damage Amp. I'm upload something in sub Discord. I'll check it out. Okay. So there was a question here. What would be optimal versus goats on attack? You mean when you face goats on defense? Or when the defense is playing goats? If the defense is playing goats, you can run Pharah, Sombra for example. Pharah, Sombra. You can run... You want to have a Zen at least? I'd say Hog Diva for example. You don't really need a shield. You can skip Winston if you want to. But you can run Hog Diva, Junkrat, plus Widow. Not Widow. I'd say maybe... Yeah, Pharah. Like you just play really annoying comps. Mei? Yeah, you can run Mei. If you're running Sombra, Rhine or Diva would be. Rhine or Diva. Rhine because you can Discord Rhine, and Diva if you wanna... if you can't Discord Rhine for example. But I'd say like Hog is pretty strong, especially since his spread is smaller. Oh, I've seen that Yodabyte. That was from Safuro. But yeah, I hope this made sense. Now I'll show the stuff on Anubis as well. Yeah, it's from his team. Someone DM mid. Yeah, it's from Sephora. He made a Reddit thread. So here, when you play the Orisa comp, for example, there's two alternatives. I'll show exactly why in a second. Widow starts here. You have a Mercy. You have a Zen. Zen is really important because of the Discord. Let's see, then you have a Diva. You can have Hog or Diva. Depends on what meta it is. I'd say Diva is really good versus Widow teams. While if you're facing Tracer Genji, you can go for Hog because you can punish Winston and Diva. But if you're facing Widow, this Widow is gonna be responsible for a duel, but also I'd say it depends on preference. Where's Diva? Here she is. So let's see, Zen over here. This is because of the cover, then he drops down like this. It's very hard to dive in basically. I always see Widow on top. I'll show exactly in 1 second. 1 second. Carp is really good with this, for example. So shield would be like this. Not that far out. Around here. No, wait, actually, it would be as far out as possible. Let's say it like this. Shield like this. You don't need Orisa super far up, but you pretty much want to place your shield over here. Widow starts behind the shield, damage boosted. And then you have, let's say, you want a third DPS. The third DPS would be a Junkrat. Junkrat starts here, out of line of sight from the Widow. I can't see the bridge for some reason. So you adjust the bridge here as well, but yeah. Widow can't shoot the Junkrat, but he can bounce balls. He'll bounce the balls like this. Can also bounce them into the wall here. Yeah, you know, you get it. Widow, let's draw out her sightline. Let's use a different color. This is a bad color because it's too dark. 1 second. Maybe this? Yeah, why not? Why Junk can't be in the room to the left? Here? Because there's nothing he can shoot, and if he peeks, Widow is gonna one-shot him. This is an easy kill. Also, you don't need... How do you say it? If he sits here, the bombs that he bounces are only gonna be on the right side here. But you already have Widow covering the right side. You need something for the left side. And that's why he is here. Also very safe. So Widow goes like this. Now if you have dive against you, This is first fight, by the way. I'll show exactly how to beat this as well. Dive beats this, but it's dependent on the Widow. Not Orisa, not Zen, not Mercy. Mainly the Widow. Because Widow is the hard carry here. So let's see. You need a Tracer. Well, you don't really need a Tracer, but Tracer is strong. Then you have Genji. Where's Genji? Here he is. Okay, so the thing is, if you do a simple dive, let's say that it goes like this. Yeah, so the dive goes like this. Boom. What happens? Well, Widow hooks high ground. That's what happens. Oops, not like that. Well, now this is kind of wrong. She should hook by the time they are... Okay, let's see. I want to keyframe this. Good. Okay, like this. Yeah, okay. She's gonna wait a bit more. Okay, so it goes like this, sort of. That's how Widow should rotate. Hope you get it now, Kim Gotti. No, far left where they push. If Junkrat is here, it's too open on the left side. That's the thing. You don't need to cover the right side. The left side. The right side is too open because you don't need to cover the left side. So if the dive goes like this, well, at the same time, Tracer would blink like this. Dash. Keep walking. This is how you do it. Like the right thing as both teams. Let's see. Orisa should be positioned like this. D.Va here as well. Zen falls back. Because if you see that enemies are coming in, you're gonna fall back. Orisa, she's gonna orb as well, so she automatically stops. Well, she can orb, but it's gonna also able to be eaten by a D.Va. But no one can really contest the Junkrat when they dive in. It relies on the Genji getting up on behind the Widow for the next push, because this push, Winston, D.Va, they will die. Tracer, she might die, she might survive. Her goal is to, in the end, be up here. She wants to be up here. Genji, he wants to be behind here somewhere. That's the thing, you want to be behind. And usually you go as Genji, climb up window. You sit here as the Winston and D.Va, they just take attention basically. So Genji goes window, and this is how you set up for the winning fight. It's very hard to kill the Orisa, or not kill Orisa, but kill the Orisa comp in the first fight, because even if you get them weak on point, on here, they will just back off to point. Well, not even point, but you just back into the red house. Mercy's going with Widow because she's free. Then he backs into the, yeah, inside. D.Va, she's with Orisa. A new shield comes out, and that's it. Very, very hard to win it in the first fight. It all relies on the second fight, which is after you reset. Let's say here. Winston, D.Va. Let's say the Tracer didn't survive. She got cleared. Zen is gonna try and get back up. Let's say that he gets back up. Genji's somewhere behind here. He's not found. That's the winning condition. And Widow jumps down again. Here's the thing. You can outplay the Genji, but this is where the mind games come in, and how to say, it's very dependent on how the Widow reacts. Because if Widow knows that the Genji is over here to the left, if he has no bleed, for example, she's just gonna hook to the right here, and then no one can reach her except Tracer. But Tracer's gonna have to take like 10 seconds at least just by walking up the stairs, and then another 10 seconds or something to get to Widow. And by that time, Widow can hook over here or hook back down or just drop. You can also drop down as Widow, wait for someone to come to you, and then you hook. So Widow is the one kiting. Junkrat, he has a mine, he can kite. Orisa, she has Fortify, she's not gonna die. D.Va, she has boosters. Zen, he just plays corners, he plays it's called rat style, or like, what's it called? You play like a rat, you just hide and you're like sneaky around the corners. And Mercy goes to Widow and back, basically. If the Widow messes up the hook though, for example, if not messes up, but if Widow hooks up here and Genji has no blade, she's gonna die easily from the Genji. Unless D.Va goes for the Widow and peels. If the Genji has blade, usually you need the blade to win this clean, make it clean. I mean, it would be like the dive comes in, Widow hooks over here or something. Mercy comes as well. Genji moves up. The thing is, Widow can prepare to shoot the Genji. So the D.Va needs to make the enemy D.Va, she has to matrix shots if the Widow is going for the Genji. He still has ultimate as well. Now the goal is dash, blade, dash, and kill. You gotta make it quick right after the hook is used, otherwise Widow will kite him. And he's not gonna get a kill. Where would you set up your supports and which supports? Zen Lucio, Zen Mercy. Now you run Ana Zen. You need Nano for the blade. And you need Zen for the Discord. Otherwise nothing dies. You gotta have Discord on D.Va and Orisa. And Zen for sniping enemy Zen. Sniping Junkrat. Even sniping Widow. When she's focused on shooting Genji and stuff. So it's a very complicated dive. Like it might seem simple, but it's not simple because it's complicated depending on how complicated the Widow makes it. It's all about the Widow rotation. Zen not as much because he can play very safe in safe locations. I mean, he doesn't need to do damage. He just orbs Widow, orbs Junkrat, for example. Mercy's gonna heal Widow, D.Va, Orisa mainly. Ana plays in main, Zen plays in main. And you obviously want to do Nano Blade as well. Now you can Nano Blade Orisa, but she's gonna fortify. You can try and kill Zen, but he has Trance. You can try and kill Junkrat, but he has Mine. Doesn't Zen need to farm his Trance? Well, he will farm it quicker than Genji will farm. Like, what's Genji gonna damage that Zen isn't gonna damage? For example, if Genji stands here and there's a Widow and D.Va here, Zen can just sit out of line of sight from main and just free farm on Winston and D.Va. Also, Zen can play with Orisa and D.Va without getting any damage, just because of shield. The Genji needs to do a lot of damage to build up Blade, compared to Zen. And he doesn't have much to shoot at unless he goes super far in. That's the difficult part as Genji. Like, you have to all in. For example, if you dive in with your Winston, you're gonna die, but you build up some ult charge. You're not gonna expect to kill something. You wanna only farm Blade. And you might have to do that for 2 fights, but then you have Tire, for example, on Junkrat. And he can Tire before a fight starts, kill off something. For example, Tire can go hunt Genji. And if the Zen dies, that's not a big problem because you still have a ton of kill power from Junkrat and Widow. Mercy can res. You don't have to res. But yeah, the Widow is the carry. Usually this comp is played when you have a sick Widow and you play on LAN, for example. You don't really play this unless your Widow is an absolute unit. Like you want Carpe, Taimo, Fleta. Those kinds of Widows. And I discovered Widow on Anubis because Kariv played it once. Or Yoda, yeah. Yo, by the way, a rebel. So would the tank comp that rushes point counter this? I'd say... I'm not sure. It depends on... Nah, I wouldn't say it counters it. Because you still have Junkrat to deal with. He has a ton of damage that you can't contest. Widow can't really shoot much until Matrix is down and Shield is down. But you have Orisa. She's gonna be taking damage alone. She would be positioning on the corner here. And then it's basically like King's Throw and Horizon again with this corner. And you have Zen discording tanks. That's a lot of damage. I would say the dive is probably the strongest versus this comp on Anubis because of the blade and everything. It's not the same on King's Throw because on King's Throw you can't surround as easily. But on Anubis you definitely can because of the windows in quad. It's called quad because of... yeah, I think... I don't know. I think it's 4 windows. So what would everyone rotate against the tank comp? Well, Junkrat would stay on bridge. He doesn't need to move. Orisa sits on the corner here. D.Va with Orisa, but she can be on high ground. Zen on high ground. Widow, she can be up here. Mercy here. And that's it. Let's make a new keyframe for that. Clear screen. So versus tank comps that play on point. Where's the point? Oh, there isn't any. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so versus this comp. Junkrat would be bridge, platform, because nothing can contest. He can be high ground as well. Widow will be high ground, either high ground. She can be bridge as well. Mercy will be with Junkrat and Widow. Orisa here, contesting. Div over here, Zen over here. And the way you win with the tank comp here is if you end up getting a hook on Diva or something and end up getting a pick. The trap here, there's a trap as well for, not a Junkrat trap, but there's a mind game trap for the defending team, and it's if you start thinking that 1 tick, 2 ticks is too much, you want to build Junkrat ult here and go for a tire basically. Chat, big question. Can't decide between another pizza or switch it up for some pancakes. I'd say get both. Get both. Why not? But yeah, versus tank comps, this is how you position. And the same versus dive, for example. When dive is holding, when anything is holding, Orisa is the one contesting alone. Because she can step off easily. And you want to contest early. So yeah. This also answers why I guess people don't like the comp, because there's no rotations. Well, there is rotations, but they aren't as visible because it's depending on Widow and Junkrat, of course. So pretty much every Korean team played this. And I think it's still one of the strongest comps on Anubis first point. It's probably the strongest one. Same on Horizon, just because of how it's very strong versus one type of archetype, and then there's always some type of counter, but the counter is not like 80 to 20 counter, it's more like 70 to 30 or 60 to 40 even, like you still have a chance. And it's only outplays by tactics basically, not really mechanics. I thought you meant with treehouse you teleport. Well, that's not treehouse. I think treehouse is just a faulty comp or faulty strategy that was popular in contenders, or I can't remember where it was used more than contenders. But contenders isn't anywhere close to OWL. And not to downplay contenders, of course, but there was nothing in OWL since it was ended, and that's how it got popular. And I think Orisa comp is well, you can put the Orisa up here. I'm gonna show you the Orisa up here as well. It's the Orisa comp up here is a bit stronger, but it's it's a bit stronger, let's say 5 to 10% stronger, but there's less room for error, much less room for error. And I'm not gonna do positioning for the dive, because the dive is still the same. You get up here with, for example, Mei, you can use Symmetra, then you switch to Diva, because the Diva is the one that switches to Symmetra or Mei, and you do that because a booster's back and you are quicker. So everyone sits up here. Junkrat has a trap on somewhere behind the shield in case of a dive. Mercy is behind the cover here, Zen is behind cover. Diva is with. Diva is in the back basically because of Matrix, scouting and stuff. Now Widow, well, Mercy's with Widow. I mean, Widow rotates like this, back and forth. This is where it's extremely difficult, or small rooms for errors, because if you dash over here and there just happens to be a tracer, Junkrat has to be aware of the tracer and start spamming the tracer. So it requires a lot of teamwork, but it's super strong. Down here doesn't require as much teamwork because it's more reliant on bigger rotations basically. But here you have more you have less damage taken, and the enemies have a much tighter room for play as well. Is it used in ladder much? Oh wait. Okay. Yeah, you were talking with Grims. So yeah, it's very hard to dive this as well, or kill this, because Zen can drop, Junkrat can trap and mine. A lot of damage for Junkrat when enemies come in. And keep in mind, Orisa Orb, she can orb Winston and D.Va down. The thing also, if they contest point, D.Va can drop down and she can move back up, contest. But even if there's a tracer here waiting, yeah, Junkrat spams. Widow can... the thing is, Widow can hook over here as well. To this, there's a small spot here. But the thing is, you gotta be safe until the hook is reset. And that's why it's so hard to play this, because it requires a lot of adaptation, basically problem solving on the fly. In like milliseconds. And Korean teams favor this. And I wouldn't blame them. They have the skill, not skill, but like teamwork for it, usually. Western teams can also play this, of course, but it requires a lot of practice, and it's kind of boring to practice this for some teams, because you're gonna end up dying a lot until you get the hang of it. And it's very common for teams to give up on comps when they don't work out. Was this the strat that you meant, Grims? Yo, by the way, Musika. How you doing, man? So, Nano Blade is strong versus this over here, but the Genji doesn't go backside anymore. I think the Genji has to adapt wherever the Widow is. And you might need to one-shot Junkrat first, because of the damage, since they're holding it with Orisa up here. You can also try and... I'd say the tank comp that goes to point is stronger versus this hold, because you can run a hog and just hook someone down. But if you're a dive team, it's very likely that the team you're fighting or playing against in OWL, they will prepare against you on low ground, because dealing with dive is easier when you're on low ground compared to high ground. Sorry if the question is silly, but what exactly is rotation? Rotation is basically when you change your position. So when you're here, let's say that a Winston appears, and you wanna, let's say that everyone's 1 HP and you gotta move away. Just an example. It's not gonna happen, but an example. You don't say that you want to rotate as Widow, because you don't want to die as Widow. So you go over here. You basically change position. And it's an easier way of saying that it's less words basically. But yeah. Let's see how this looks in the timeline. Can you show me how dive works against this setup? Yeah, sure. Well, against that setup, it's very similar to this. It's gonna take a lot of time, but I'll show you. Like, it's very similar to this, but the thing when you play on high ground like that, it's much less dependent. Like the Genji has to go backside when it's low ground, but when it's high ground, when the Orisa is here, the Genji can't exactly go backside, but he can go, but it would require an all-in from the dive to go high ground. And if the objective is to kill, like if Widow and Junkrat is on the other side of high ground, you have to set up completely differently. And it's just a lot of thinking that you have to do, and we would sit here for an hour or so to draw out all the scenarios, but I'll show this. It's very simple. They move in. This is first fight, by the way. So first fight, you want to farm Blade. Genji can move in with Winston and D.Va as well, but he doesn't have to. Tracer tries to blink on the other side, because she can't damage anything anyways here. And then Genji's goal is to get behind the Widow, because Widow will hook up when the dive comes in. And that's why, yeah, she will be here. So I hope that was a good explanation, even though I only showed a low-grade version. So we save this one. Any questions in chat, by the way? I'm gonna do 2 more VODs that I didn't have time for yesterday. And then we'll do some comp afterwards. Theorycraft, why not 6 Winstons? You can have 1 real Winston, then you can have 5 people that roleplay Winston in